Good morning, students. Welcome back to the subject Cost and Management Accounting. Myself, CA Vibhavat Haval. So we'll continue with the second unit of Cost and Management Accounting. In the earlier units, we did introduction, then we did material. I gave you the introduction of material, the overview of material, touching various important concepts. Today, we are going to start employee cost. All right. So let's understand a lot of learnings under employee cost. So let's start what all is there for you under employee cost. So basically, what is employee? Employee or labor, we pay them wages or salaries and much more. So what all is that much more, how it is accounted for, how we compute the cost of it, how we make presentation, and then what's the difference between many concepts which we think that they are related. All right. So what is basically the employee cost? The compensation we pay. The compensation means the work for the reward for the work. All right. The compensation so paid either in monetary terms or in kind or facility. So whether we are paying in money or whether we are paying in kind. Kind means we are giving something. We are not paying cash, but we are giving. Let us say we are giving a cycle, but not a cash. All right. So in kind or a benefit we are giving them. So we are giving them servant, or first of all is we are providing them reimbursement of servant expenses. Second is we are giving them a servant, we are giving them a car, we are giving them a house for use. So anything which we are paying to the employee or the worker as cash or kind or benefit or any facility are all termed as wages or salaries. All right. All right, so a lot students have joined it. Good morning, all of you. Good morning, Kiran, Diksha, Sankaran, Bhumika. So, good morning, all of you. So, let's start the happy morning for cost and management accounting. Cost of paying wages to workers is known as labor cost. So, whatever we are paying to the laborers or the workers is called as labor cost or employee cost. Employee cost is a wider term which includes wages, salary, bonus, incentives. So what all we are paying to the employee or what all we are incurring for the employee, all right, all comes under the cost, employee cost. Suppose we are the employer is paying me cash of rupees 100, but the employer is also giving me a bus facility and the employer is paying for that bus facility. I'm just getting the bus facility. So, but in cash, I'm getting only rupees 100. So that only 100 is not my salary. For the employer, 100 rupees, which the employer is paying me in cash, plus whatever the employer is incurring on the bus facility also. The cost the employer is paying for the bus, that is also a cost to the employer. So employee cost is not only what the employee is receiving, but much more than that. The employer incurs much cost above whatever is paid to the employee. So employee cost is a wider term, cost to the organization, what we call as CTC, cost to the company. CTC is a very regular word in organizations. So whatever I am receiving as salary and whatever is my cost to the organization, both are different. All right, difference between the two, because many components are added to the salary to make it employee cost. All right. So it includes wages and salaries, bonus, incentives, kind, benefit, facility, everything. The employer is bearing cost for everything. But employee sees that, okay, whatever I am receiving in hand is salary. Should be that should be the employee cost. No, employer is incurring much other cost also in addition to the salary they are giving to the employee. All right. So the labor cost, what exactly is included? Benefits paid or payable to the employees of an entity meaning an organization, whether permanent or temporary, for the services rendered by them. So whatever benefits, whether salary, bonus, benefit, kind, cash, whatever benefits are paying to the employees by the employer, whether permanent employees or temporary employees. Temporary means they must be on a contract basis, they must be on a daily wages basis. So all types of workers and laborers and employees and staff, everything which is paying by the organization to the employee is called as employee cost. So what all it includes? It includes cash and kind benefit facility, everything it includes. So wages and salaries, which are generally paid in cash, allowances and incentives, payment for overtime, employer contribution to provident fund and other welfare funds. So there's a provident fund, which is a retirement benefit fund. So the employee also contributes to his provident fund, and the employer also contributes to the provident fund of an employee. All right. So now employee contribution is a different thing, and employer is also contributing. That is also cost to the employer, right? So it's addition to wages and salaries which are paying to employee. Other benefits, leave with pay, holiday pay, food facility, leave travel concessions. So all the benefits, free lunches or free bus facility, free recreation, free club facility, free swimming pool facility. So there are so many facilities also being given to the employee, which is a benefit to the employee. So employee doesn't think that this is also a benefit, but employer is bearing the cost of that also. So the total of cash, kind, benefit, facility, whatever is given to the employee is the total employee cost for the organization, total labor cost for the organization. All right. Moving further. So direct employee and indirect employee, I explained you in the material class, direct material and indirect material also. Similarly, direct labor cost and indirect labor cost. Direct labor cost is the cost which is directly attributable to any product. The workers who are directly related to the product, who are working on the product, on the job, on the order, who are actually working directly on the product or the job or the department or the order, they are called direct labor. We know exactly how much they have worked. All right. Indirect labor means which we cannot directly relate to the product. For example, 5 workers are working on the product. They are working to make the product, in the production of that product. So the wages, the salary paid to those 5 workers is direct labor cost. We know exactly how much time those laborers, those workers have contributed to that product. But one supervisor is coming to the factory to supervise the manufacture or production which is going on. We cannot measure the time of that supervisor, how much time he has seen machine 1, how much time he has seen machine 2. We cannot measure the time. So the salary which we are paying to the supervisor, who is just coming and monitoring everything, is indirect cost. We cannot exactly measure how much time supervisor has given to product A, product B, product C. That is indirect cost. Salary of the general manager, salary of the staff, whosoever is indirectly related is called as indirect employee cost. But those who are working directly with the product or the job or the order, whatever we are paying to them is a direct labor cost or direct employee cost. All right. So it is the cost incurred in payment of employees who are directly engaged in production process, who are actually working in the production area on the products. They are doing nothing else except the production part. So we know exactly whatever they are working is on the product and for the product. Direct cost. But a supervisor is coming once a day to supervise whether production is going on okay or not. Whatever we are paying to him is indirect employee cost, because we cannot measure exactly how much he has given time to product A or product B. Is it clear? So direct employee cost can be easily identified and allocated to cost unit. Indirect is apportioned. It's a very, very important difference. Direct cost, whether it's material or it's labor, direct cost is always allocated. All right. So this is very important with this word. It's always allocated. Indirect cost is always apportioned. You will understand in the overheads unit, after this employee cost. So there you will understand how it's allocated and how it's apportioned. Direct employee cost varies with the volume of production. So howsoever units you are producing, if you are increasing the production, direct labor cost is going to increase. But whether you are making 100 products or 1500 products, the supervisor is getting the same salary. So indirect labor cost will not vary as per the output or the production. But direct labor cost, if you are producing more, you need more workers. So direct labor cost will increase if you increase the production. Indirect labor cost will not increase in the same proportion in which you increase the production. So 1000 units or 1200 units, supervisor is getting same salary. But 1000 units or 1200 units, the labor cost is going to increase because either you need more workers now or the same workers will work overtime. You have to pay for them for the overtime also. All right. So whenever the direct labor cost is directly related, so you increase the production, direct labor cost will increase. But indirect labor cost will not increase in the same proportion. All right. So that's direct cost and indirect cost, or direct employee cost and indirect employee cost. Employee or labor cost control. So cost control, now we have to, reduce the cost. That does not mean, see, it's basically, this concept is very, very important. Employee cost does not mean that we should keep on reducing the salary or wages. No, it never means that. Employee cost control does not mean that we should keep on reducing the wages or salaries of the employees. No, we should give them sufficient salary or wages, but we have to reduce the cost per unit, labor cost per unit we should reduce. All right. For example, let us say the salary we are paying is 100. All right. And the production, the units are 1000. So how much is the labor cost per unit? Tell me, how much is the labor cost per unit? Okay, it's 1000 and let us say it's 100. You will understand it better. So the cost is 1000, the labor cost is 1000 and 100 are the units. All right. So that means how much is the labor cost per unit? How much is the labor cost per unit? It's 10 per unit. So that does not mean that we should reduce the labor cost. Labor cost means we should reduce the salary or wages. No, but we should increase the units, the production. Cost should remain as same, but we should increase the production. Now the production is 200 units. See, the cost per unit will reduce to 5 per unit. Are you getting it? So this is the concept of labor cost. So labor cost does not mean that you should reduce the wages. No, it should remain same, but the production should increase so that the labor cost per unit of production should decrease. Is it clear? So we should strive more. We should encourage the workers. We should motivate the workers so that they should be more efficient. They should do more production so that the production increases. The moment the production increases from 100 units to 200 units, see, the cost per unit of labor has fallen down. So this is the concept of employee cost control. It never means that you should reduce the wages or salaries. You should never reduce the wages and salaries. But the strive is to increase the production, increase the efficiency of the labor, so that in the same salary they should be producing more. All right. So that is the concept of employee cost control. So employee cost control means control over the cost incurred on employees. Control over employee cost does not imply control over the size of the wage bill. It also does not imply the wages of employees should be kept as low as possible. It should not mean this. The aim is to keep wages per unit of output as low as possible. And how is it possible? You increase the production. the wages cost per unit will reduce. All right. So this can only be achieved by giving employees appropriate compensation. So we should always give them proper salary and compensation so that their efficiencies increase. So if their efficiency will increase, they will increase the output of production. All right. In the same salary, they will produce more. That exactly is the concept of employee cost control. I hope you have understood this concept. Let me see if they're good morning, students. Good morning, all of you. Nice to see you, all of you. Okay, let me see if okay, yes, then very good, very good. So I'm glad that you're able to understand. Let's move further. Organization of labor cost control. So what is the structure in the organization? See, cost control is not the responsibility of one department. Cost control is a collaboration of all the departments, is an integrated effort of all departments, is a collective effort of all the departments. Clear? So what all departments are included in that, or what all stages are there? So we have to do the cost control at every stage. All right, not at the last stage, but at every stage, starting from even before the production starts and ends even after the production ends. All right. So whatever the departments are responsible for controlling the labor cost, personnel department, we call it as HR department also. Engineering and work study department. Now this engineering and work study department is a technical department. All right. They do various forms of analysis to reduce the labor cost. So how they do it, we'll just understand. Timekeeping department, of course, since we are talking about employees, we are talking about human resources. So we have to keep a track of their time, their attendance, basically. All right. So that is all about timekeeping. Payroll department means the department which makes the salary, which computes the salary, which calculates the salary. That is the payroll department. All right. Cost accounting department is a department which pays the salary to the employees after deducting many things. So let us understand in a little detail. So personnel department means HR department. So overview is personnel department. Whenever any department wants, there is a organization. You understand vacancy. So there is a vacancy in the organization. That means we need an employee or a worker. There is a vacant seat. We need that worker or any organization in an organization. So the HR department or the personnel department, they know that, okay, what all qualifications are required, what all skill is required, what experience is required. All right. So according to that specifications, the HR department looks for the, they give advertisement in the newspaper. Okay, we want this employee, we want a supervisor, we want a foreman, we want a store manager. So requisition means request comes from any department that there is no storekeeper, so please recruit or appoint a storekeeper. So personnel department will see what qualification should that storekeeper should have, what knowledge he should have, what experience he should have, and accordingly then they advertise that. So all those applications for the post of storekeeper will come. So everything is done by personnel department, which we call as HR department. It ensures that the persons recruited possess the required qualification and skills. So HR department only sees that, okay, whosoever person we are appointing, he should have that qualification or knowledge, experience, skill, etc. for the job. So then they are giving proper training. So whenever an employee or a worker joins the organization, they are giving first some training to understand the system of the organization, how the system works. All right. So they are giving proper training. Again, it's the role of the personnel department only. And then they maintain all personal and job related records of the employee. So the total complete personal record of every employee is with the personnel department. The name, the marital status, the nationality, the date of birth, then parents, then family, all the personal records, all the previous job, whatever the employee has done the previous job, everything, the complete details, the bio sketch of that employee is with the personnel department. And evaluation of performance from time to time. So that personnel department knows the employees from the very beginning, from the first day the employee joins. So the recommendation of department is also very important for promotion of that employee further, or for, you know, for different assignments and different criteria. Personnel department recommendations are also taken. All right. So this is all about personnel department. I hope there are no queries so far. Moving to engineering and work study department. Okay. Good morning, students. Good morning. Good to see so many students joining. Indirect cost is apportioned on some basis. Yes, you will understand. This was asked this question. Vishali, you will understand this in the overheads unit. But just because you have asked, indirect cost, we don't know exactly how much cost is. For example, this electricity. All right. Now, electricity bill comes for rupees 1,000. Now, electricity bill is 1,000, and there are 3 departments in an organization. Every department is using electricity. Can you measure how much exactly electricity is used in department A, department B, or department C? We don't know. So we have to use some basis. 1,000 electricity bill has to be apportioned between 3 departments. All right. So now, for accordingly, it is apportioned pro rata. Now, whatever, let us say there are 5 light points in department A, there are 3 light points in department 3. Light points means switches. And there are 2 light points in department C. So according to the light points, see, we can use electricity only as much as we have the light points. Yeah. So that 1,000 will be divided. Apportioned means will be divided, will be shared among all the 3 departments proportionately according to the light points they have. So department 1 will have the maximum share because they have 5 light points. Department 2 have 3 and department 3 have 2. So accordingly, giving you the example of indirect employee cost, let us say a supervisor salary, we are paying 50,000, the salary of a supervisor, indirect. Now that supervisor is taking care of 5 departments. So we will understand how the supervisor salary is to be apportioned, maybe on the basis of number of workers he's supervising or number of machines. So there has to be some basis on which the supervisor's salary is to be apportioned between all the products or the department. That is indirect labor cost. Apportion means divided or shared. I hope I'm able to answer your query. Going back to engineering and work study department. So this department, I told you, is a very technical department. Prepares plans and specifications for each job. It provides training and guidance to employees. It supervises production activities, conducts time and motion study, undertakes job analysis and job evaluation. So many important terms are here. First of course, they plan the specifications for each job. Job specification. Clear? Job specification means what exactly is the requirement of that job. Job specification, what experience, what knowledge, what skill is required for that job. That is the work of the engineering and work study department. They study the job, every aspect of the job they study. And then they describe a job. They chart out the specifications of a job. All right. They give training and guidance to the employees, supervises production activities, conducts time and motion study. Now, this is very, very important, time study and motion study. Time study measures the time. Let us say there are 5 activities to carry out a job. So activity 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Time study will measure how much time activity 1 is taking, how much time activity 2 is taking, how much time activity 3 is taking. Basically, how much time they measure the time every stage is taking. So let us say activity 1 is taking 5 minutes. Activity 2 is taking 10 minutes. All right. So likewise, by using a stopwatch, They will measure how much time every stage or every activity or every process is taking for the manufacture or production of any good. All right. So that is the time study. Now, what is the significance of it? Time study helps to establish a standard time. So 10 minutes, then 3 must be taking 15 minutes and so on. So let us say this whole process will take 40 minutes. That means whenever this process will be repeated, it should take 40 minutes of time. So time study helps to establish a standard time, a set time, a predetermined time that it should take 40 minutes. Clear? So that is the significance, importance of time study. Motion study is, let us say there are 5 activities again, activity 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Motion study will see the movement. Why these 5 activities are happening? Can't these 5 activities be just made as 3 activity? So motion study will actually monitor the movement of men or the workers or the machine or the material. So this activity is going first, and then this, and then this, and then again coming this, and again coming this. So they will monitor why so many activities. Can't we just, they actually organize the activities in such a way, and they find out the best method to do a job, best method. That is the objective of a motion study. They will analyze very, very minutely what all activities are taking place, and then they will identify the best method to do a job so that the cost control can happen. All right. So if out of 5, now let us say only 3 activities they have worked out that this job can be done by only 3 activities. 5 are not required. So see, we have controlled the labor cost. We have brought down the labor cost. Earlier, we are paying for 5 activities. Now only 3 activities were required. So that is the objective of motion study. They identify that, what all lapses are there, why some activities are unnecessary, are included in the production process. They can eliminate those activities. And once the activities are eliminated, of course, the cost is going to come down. All right. So that is time and motion study. Undertakes job analysis and evaluation. Job analysis means, now job analysis has 2 variants. Let me just write down here. So job analysis has 2 variants: job description and job specification. All right. And job specification. Job analysis basically breaks down into 2. Job description means the detailed analysis of the job. Detailed analysis means whenever, let us say, I have been selected for a job, I will get the job description. This is the job title. So the title of the job is general manager, or let us say the production manager. Then where is the job location? What what qualification you should know, what knowledge you should have. So this is the description, exactly what is the role required for that job. So detailed analysis of the description of the job is there in job description. Job specification is what are the specifications required in the person who is doing the job. So one important difference is job description is about the job. Detailed analysis of the job. Job specification is the analysis of a job, job holder. All right, you can say. Job holder means the person. So the requirement for a job is job description. The requirement of a job holder, the person who will do the job. What experience is required? That is job specification. All right. What experience, what knowledge, what skill is required to do this job? And those skills should be in that person. That is job specification. But job description is what all are the requirements of that job? What will be the job name? Where the job will be located? What is the roles and responsibilities? Clear? So job description basically charts out the duties and responsibilities which are required. But job specification gives the qualification, knowledge and skill required, experience required for that job. So description is focusing on job. Specification is focusing on job holder or the person. All right. Job evaluation means we are ranking all the jobs, which job is important for the organization. So job number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we have to evaluate these jobs as per their importance to the organization. So job 1 is most important to the organization. So it is 1. It's ranked as 1. So the salary for job 1 will be the highest because this job 1 is very, very important to the organization, most important. So job 1 is at the top ranking. So whosoever is on job 1 will be paid the highest. So job evaluation is basically to understand how much should be paid for that particular job. But that is basically the ranking of a job. So job evaluation is ranking of different jobs with relation to the importance to the organization. So that is all about engineering and work study. Let's move further. Okay. Timekeeping department. So we have done 2 departments. Now timekeeping department. Timekeeping department is concerned with maintenance of time records. So timekeeping and time booking. All right. Now what's the difference between timekeeping and time booking? Timekeeping means the worker has entered the factory gate or the company and the entry time and the exit time. All right, the entry time and the exit time. So let us say the entry time is 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. So the worker or employee has entered at 9 p.m. and he has made an exit at 6 p.m. So this is the job of timekeeping department, the time of entry and exit. Time booking means what the worker or employee has done from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. He has gone to department 1. All right, then he has done work on job 1, then he has gone to department 2. So whatever he has done during the day on the job is the job of the time booking department. How much time he has spent in department 1, how much time he has spent in job 1, how much time he has spent in department 2. So what exactly, so how he has spent the time from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. The breakup of his time for the whole day is time booking department job. All right. So timekeeping means just the entry and the exit. Time booking means what all he has done during the day while he was there in the organization or in the company. How much time he has spent on various departments or various jobs. That is the focus of timekeeping department. All right. I hope you have understood. Kiran, thank you for the compliment. But yes, the only purpose is that, it's not about theory. It's all about concepts again. Again, I will say there is no theory as such. Everything is a concept. It's not a theory. All right. So just take it that way. All right. Keshav, we should use English, and I'll try to use some terms in Hindi if you really wish to. But again, I will say that whatever I'm using are a very typical cost accounting terms, and we should use those cost accounting terms in our answers also. All right. So I always use different terms of any word. For example, if I am using attributable, I'm actually explaining you attributable means allocated, or it means whenever I'm explaining apportionment. So apportionment is a cost accounting word, but I'm using it. What is the meaning of apportionment? We divide it, we share it. So I'm using simple English terms also along with the cost accounting terms so that you understand it. All right. So because it's a central medium, so we should use a common language. All right. But yes, I'm using the simple vocabulary also, the simple English words, so that you understand what exactly I'm trying to explain. Who kept records of employees of HR department? HR department or personal department? Personal or HR department only, Anupam, keeps the records of the employee. All right. Turnaround time review for workers is called a time study. Yes, exactly. Time study. Basically, how much is the turnaround time or how much time is being taken in any activity. All right. Okay, Rishita, no doubt. Okay, I hope you all are enjoying the class. Please note down some of the. Okay, Rajesh, I'll be using English only. Don't worry. But yes, because we have to. Uh, Okay. Okay, Suraj, that exactly I do. I I actually want to use cost accounting terms also. See, allocation, apportionment, attributable. These are cost accounting terms. These terms are also important. You should understand these terms also. But yes, to make you understand, I'm using simple English terms also to make you understand that okay, what is like apportionment is a cost accounting term. You should be familiar with this word, but I am explaining you that apportionment means division. We divide it, we share it. All right, so you should note down whenever. I hope you must be taking notes also on this. So let's move on further. Payroll department. Payroll department is a department which calculates the salary. So now again, the term is payroll. Payroll means the department which calculates computation, calculation or computation. So computation is a cost accounting term. But to explain you, I'm saying it's calculation. But you should not write calculation. Calculation is an English term, but you should use more of cost accounting term, which is computation. Yeah. So we compute the salary or the employee cost. So preparation of payroll for employees. Disburses means distributes or pays. We get the salary, so payroll department distributes the salary. So disburses means distribute or makes payment of salary and wages. Cost accounting department. Cost accounting department, again, we have the main department, which I explained you in the introduction class. We accumulate and classify the employee cost. So cost accounting department first accumulate. Accumulates means collect all the cost first. It accumulates the cost and then it classifies employee cost. Direct cost, indirect cost. All right. So in direct labor cost or indirect labor cost, so cost accounting department classifies, basically first collects it and then classifies. Classifies means they give cost to different categories, direct cost or indirect cost. That is the meaning of classification. All right. Analysis and allocation of cost to various cost centers or cost objects. So then we allocate and to various cost centers or cost objects means whenever the cost is allocated, then we go to different departments and products and then we distribute the salary. Let me just explain what does it mean. Okay, I'm erasing it off. All right, so there are product A and there are product B. So what cost accounting department does? First, it collects all the cost. All right, so the total cost is 1,000. Then it will classify the cost, direct cost and indirect cost. So direct employee cost and indirect cost. So first step is basically accumulation or collection of cost. It collects all the cost first and then it classifies the second step, direct cost and indirect cost. So out of 1,000, how much belongs to direct labor or how much is paid to direct workers who are actually working on the product? So let us say 700 is paid to direct workers and 300 is for the indirect workers. So it is classification. Classification means category, direct cost and indirect cost. And then the third part is that we are allocating it to different products or departments. Clear? So different products and departments it will be allocated. Now 700 again it will go to product A and product B. Direct cost is always allocated. And this 300 will be apportioned, means shared. Because this is indirect cost. Indirect cost, we don't know how much belongs to A, how much belongs to B. But direct cost, we exactly know how much belongs to A and how much belongs to B. But indirect cost, we don't know exactly how much belongs to A or B. We have to apportion. Apportion means product A or B have to share this cost of 300 on some basis. Let us say this cost is on the basis of like the units they have produced or the number of hours they have worked. So A has worked for 10 hours and B has worked for 5 hours. So 300 will be shared between A and B on the basis of hours. All right. So we always apportion, we always divide the indirect cost on some basis, related basis. Clear? But direct cost, we know exactly how much belongs to A and how much belongs to B. So direct cost is also a portion. Let us say 300, let us say 400, 500. 500. So direct cost 500 belongs to A and 200 belongs to B. So direct cost, we exactly know how much belongs to A and B, but indirect cost will be apportioned. So 300 will be apportioned between A and B on the basis of labor hours or the worker hours, whatever they have worked on. All right. So that is the cost accounting department. So accumulation, then classification, and then distribution between the products or between the jobs or between the orders or between the departments. All right. So I hope this concept is clear to you. Okay, so moving further, factors for the control of employee cost. The main points which are considered for controlling employee cost are assessment of manpower requirements. So all these terms and points actually we have discussed under how labor cost control can be considered, how it can be strived on. All right. So assessment of manpower requirements, that how much workers we require, how much labor we should have. So we assess it. All right. Manpower means the labor employees, how many labor we require, how much workers we require, how much employees we require. Control over timekeeping and time booking, that I explained you. Time and motion study, again, I explained you. Control over idle time and overtime. Control over employee turnover. Turnover means employee leaving the organization, coming. So turnover. Employee turnover means new employees are joining, old employees are leaving. So change in the number of employees or composition. Change in the employee composition. Composition means number of employees. There are 100 employees, 10 have left, then 2 have joined, then 5 have been promoted. So employees are turning, the numbers are turning, they are changing. So employee turnover means employees are changing. We have to have control on employee changing. Not many employees should leave the organization. It carries a cost. New employee is joining, that new employee is going to take time to adjust in the organization. Till that time, he will not be productive. So see, whenever any employee leaves the organization or any employee joins the organization, it carries a cost. All right. So whenever old employee who is working for last 10 years has left the organization has to suffer, because the new worker who has joined, it will take time. It will take time to show that much efficiency which that old worker was working. Clear? So every organization should control employee turnover. Not many employees should leave. All right. And even if new employees are joining, they will take some time to give you that productivity which the older employees were giving you. All right. Wages and incentive systems, of course, there are wages and incentives also. Job evaluation and merit rating. So job evaluation, I told you, is ranking of the jobs as per the importance to the organization. Clear? And employee productivity, of course, employee efficiency, how much they're contributing to the production or the manufacturing or the uplift of the organization. So moving further, attendance and payroll procedures, how attendance is taken. So timekeeping and time booking, I just explained you. Timekeeping is recording each worker's time of coming in and going out. That's it. Entry and exit time, over, khatam. Timekeeping, clear? During engagement, it is essential for the purpose of attendance. So basically, the employee has actually come today or not, timekeeping department monitors that. All right. Objective of timekeeping, of course, payroll. Attendance is required for calculating the salary. All right. Apportionment of overhead on the basis of labor hours, effective utilization of human resources. So exactly, I mean, what all are required to calculate the salary. We require the attendance, we require all the cost. So that is part of payroll procedure. So again, timekeeping, we have methods. So how the attendance is taken, that means the method of timekeeping. So attendance register is an age-old method. We are using attendance registers in every organization. Then token or disk method. So there is a token, and that token, is given by the employee to the timekeeper. And the moment the timekeeper takes the token, so every employee, every worker has a token number. So their attendance, so when the employee or the worker carries that token, he gives the token to the timekeeper, and the timekeeper notes the token number. So that employee is not mentioned by name, but by the token number. So let us say I have a token number of 300. My token number is 300. So timekeeper will book, okay, token number 300 has entered at 9:30 a.m. All right, so token system. Now we are using mechanical methods in every organization. Punch card. So there is a card. The employee punches the card at the punching machine in the organization. So punch card, you just have to show the card or insert the card. Like you insert the ATM card, ATM machine. So, or the debit or credit card machine. And then biometric attendance means the machine recognizes your physical characteristics. Your face is recognized, your finger, it takes your fingerprint, or it scans your retina, your eye, or it scans your face. So biometric, because it carries a cost. So big organizations, big companies are only using biometric, because biometric uses a machine and it carries a cost of maintenance also. Clear? But little middle level organizations, they are using punching card also. Clear? So biometric recognizes your face recognition. Clear? So those are the methods. Time booking, I told you how much time the worker for each department or operation or process or job during the engagement of the factory. So how the worker is spending that time in the company, that recording is called time booking. All right. So it can be for each job, like he's spending time on job 1, then job 2, and then he's going to department 1 and then department 2. So how much time he's spending? So it can be per employee. All right. So every employee, wherever he is going, so how much time he's spending in the company during the whole day, that is time booking. All right. So it will tell you how much idle time he's sitting. Let us say he's having lunch also. So this will also be recorded, that he's having lunch for half an hour, or he was sitting idle, because the machine was not starting. So he was sitting idle. So lunch time, idle time. So how he's spending those 8-9 hours in the company, that is the job of time booking department. All right, moving further. So methods of time booking. So we have daily timesheet, then weekly timesheet, then job card. So time can be recorded as per job also. So there are two methods, job wise or employee wise. All right. So two ways time booking can be done. If we are doing employee wise, then we'll write job 1, 1 hour, job 2, 2 hours. Okay. Department 1, 3 hours. So this is how the employee is spending time. But when we are making job wise, so employee 1 has worked for 20 minutes on this job. Employee 2 has worked for 1 hour on this job. So time booking can be job wise also and employee wise also. All right. So for job wise, we make a job card, and for employee wise, we make an employee card. All right. So time booking can be done in which way, whatever is the requirement of that company. So generally they make both job card also and employee card also. All right. So this is time booking. Okay. So this is the whole payroll procedure. Just have a look at the payroll procedure. Let me see if there are any queries. The cost object is employee and cost unit is hours. Yes. Cost in employee cost. Yes. The cost object. See, the cost object is employee also. And the cost object vis-a-vis, if we have to apportion, if we have to divide the indirect employee cost to different products. So cost object is product also. See, there is no single cost object. Cost object is employee also. When we are calculating employee cost, then cost object is employee. But when we are calculating product cost, then product is a cost object. So it depends upon what exactly, for what we are calculating the cost. That becomes a cost object. So at one time, there can be many cost objects. Clear? So cost objects can be employee also. If the organization is calculating total employee cost, if the organization is calculating employee cost, employee is the cost object. If the organization is calculating product cost, then product is the cost object. If the organization has to calculate the cost of a job, then job is a cost object. So at one time, we can have simultaneously many cost objects. Clear? But yes, for employee cost, employee is the cost object. All right. So I hope you have understood. So let us understand the payroll procedure now. Okay. So timekeeping department, what happens? See, first stage is this is the first step, timekeeping department. Of course, to calculate the salary, what you require now to calculate the salary, we require time or attendance into rate of salary. Clear? So for example, 2 hours into 5 rupees per hour. All right. So for calculating the salary, what you require? You require the time and you require the rate of salary or the wages. So that exactly here happens. The first step is timekeeping department will give the time to the payroll department. All right. So timekeeping department will give the time to the payroll department. Payroll department makes the salary. See, they make the salary. And HR department will give the rate of the salary. Clear? So what exactly, how much rate, at which rate the worker is paid? So they will give the rate. So the personnel department will give the rate because they have all the details of the employee, the HR department. They have all the details of the employee, that this employee, when this employee was appointed, so it was fixed that, okay, we will pay him 100 rupees per hour. So this fixation of rate happens when the employee is appointed. Now this information is given by HR department to the payroll department. So timekeeping department gives the time to payroll and HR department gives the rate to the payroll. So then they calculate the wages. So payroll department calculate the wages. Clear? So time is given by timekeeping, rate is given by HR department, and together the payroll department calculates the salary, calculates a computation of salary they do. Then this salary and wages. So payroll department basically makes the pay slip. Pay slip means it actually calculates, see, this is the entire salary they have to get. Now, then it gets going to the cost accounting department. Cost accounting department will make deductions. Let us say employee has taken some loan or employee has contributed for provident fund. So that deductions from the salary is done by the cost accounting department and actual salary is paid by cost accounting department only. Clear? So cost accounting department pays to the employee, pays salary to employee after doing all the deductions or whatever is required, and the provident fund deductions, provident fund and ESI, etc., they pay to the statutory bodies. The PF fund, they deposit to the PF fund of the organization. I hope you know that every employee contributes a portion of the salary for provident fund. All right. And then that portion of provident fund is deducted from his salary and it is deposited in the PF account of the government. And then when the employee retires or leaves the organization, that PF amount is paid to him at that time. All right. So this is the whole cycle of the payroll procedure. Clear? So I hope you have understood this. Any doubts so far? Time and motion study, I just explained, Suraj. Time and motion study, I explained you. Time study measures the time taken in each activity. So there are, let us say, 5 activities to make a product. So whatever is the time taken in each activity is time study. And motion study monitors the movement, that why 5 activities are taking place. Can this work be done in 3 activities also? So that is motion study. Motion means movement. Motion study actually monitors what is the best way to do that particular work. Is 5 activities required, or can that work be done in 3 activities also? So they reduce and they eliminate any wasteful or unnecessary activities. They will eliminate. But time study will not eliminate any activity. If 5 activities are there, time study will just measure the time taken in every activity. But motion study will monitor whether those 5 activities are required or not. Can that job or work be done in less than 5 activities also? Let us say one activity is just the idle time activity. They will eliminate that activity. Clear? So that is time and motion study. Let us proceed further. So they are the deductions which these deductions happen from the salary of every employee if they are doing this deduction. Provident fund. So provident fund, I hope you know that provident fund is contributed by both employee and employer. Employee and employer. Let me just. Okay. By both employee and employer. All right. So both the employer and employee contributes to the provident fund. So employee contribution is deducted. Clear? And what's the difference between employee and employer? I'll just explain. Let us try to. We can zoom it further. If the technical team can zoom it a little bit. Then ESI, employees state insurance. Employee state insurance scheme is basically the social security scheme to take care of the medical or any other requirements of the employees. Then TDS, of course, whether if the employee has to pay tax, then the organization deducts tax also in the form of TDS. So salary is given after deducting tax. So the employer deducts salary and then is paid. Professional tax is also paid. In some state it is there, in some states it's not there. So professional tax is paid by the professionals who are working. So like all the CAs and the doctors and the lawyers who are practicing, they pay professional tax, and then it is given as a deduction also to them. All right. Then again, voluntary contribution to PF, any benevolent fund, so any other fund they are contributing, that is also a deduction. Any loan the employee has taken, so that also has to be deducted from their salary. So any loan if the employee has taken from the company, the loan installment is also deducted from his salary. So these are all the deductions which are made, and then the net salary is paid by the cost accounting department. Clear? So we'll understand with the help of an example also. Idle time, the time during which no production is carried out. Idle time means when no production. The idle time means sitting idle, sitting free. Idle time means sitting free. So if the employee is having lunch, then again no production is taking place. If the employee is waiting because the machine is taking time to set up, then employee is sitting idle free. So idle time is when no production is carried out, but the employee is paid the salary or the wages. I'm repeating. Idle time is where the employee is not working but is paid. Clear? So when the employee is doing lunch, he will be paid for that lunch time also. When the employee is sitting idle, the worker is sitting idle because the machine is not ready or the materials are not coming, there is no raw material. So the worker is waiting because raw material has not come. Raw material supply is not there, so he is waiting for the raw material. So again it's idle time. Again he's paid for it. So idle time is when worker is not working but he is paid for it. That is idle time. All right. So the difference between time paid and time booked. Time paid and time booked. Time booked means actual time working on the product or the job. But he's paid for 5 hours. But out of 5 hours, time booked means when he was actually working was 4.5 hours. So he's paid for 5 hours, but he actually worked for 4.5 hours. Half hour he took as lunch time. or whatever he was sitting idle. But he's being paid for 5 hours. That means idle time when he's not doing anything, but still he is getting the salary or the wages. So idle time can be normal or abnormal. So the holidays, leaves, allowances, rest time, lunch time, they are all normal idle time. So every day it will happen. Normal idle time means it will happen every time. Every day it will happen. Abnormal time means that today, if let us say the machine has there is some repairing going on in the machine. So now the employee is sitting idle, the worker is sitting idle, but every day the machine will not break down, no? So that is abnormal idle time. So normal idle time means it's normal. It will happen and it will happen every time. So something that happens every time is normal idle time. Something which is just happened today, but it might not happen tomorrow. That is abnormal idle time. All right. Then moving further, I hope there are personal, how to calculate the rate per hour. Vishali, personnel department does not calculate the rate per hour. They fix the rate per hour. Let us say you are going for the job of general manager. So personnel department actually will fix how much salary you should get. So they don't fix your salary, but yes, they decide the salary as per company's policy. All right. So there is no word as such, fix the rate. They decide the salary. So personnel department only decides the salary. You will also negotiate. They will say, okay, we will pay you 50,000 per month. You will say, no, I'm getting 60,000 in my earlier job. I should get 80,000 now. So it's all about negotiation. How good you negotiate for your salary. And then whatever salary is fixed, that is given to the payroll department, that okay, Vishali should get 80,000 as salary. So then it's fixed as per the negotiations. Clear? You will also negotiate. Personnel department will say, okay, we cannot give more than this. So this is how the salaries and wages are fixed for the workers and the employees. All right. So I hope I have okay, we'll be taking a break. We have to do questions also. So let me just finish the conceptual part, then we'll take a break. All right. So don't worry, Manisha, we'll just take a break 5-10 minutes later. Payroll procedure once. All right. Let's just quickly go back to payroll procedure. Okay. So payroll procedure, I just explained you. We have to calculate the salary of any person. What we require, the time for how many days or the hours the employee or the worker has worked, and the rate for which he has to pay. So if it's a time based, so time taken into what is the rate per time. Or like employees, like we are getting how much days we have worked and into how much is our salary per month. Clear? So again, it's based on time or days or month or hours. It can be any which way. So that payroll department calculates the salary, but for that payroll department needs the time and the rate. Time or the attendance is given by timekeeping department, and rate or the salary fixed is given by the personnel or HR department. Then payroll department calculates the salary. It just calculates the salary. It does not pay the salary to the employee. Payroll department calculates the salary. They generate a pay slip. All right. So they calculate a salary and pay slip is generated. That pay slip is given to cost accounting department. Cost accounting department will make deductions of provident fund or any loan the employee which has taken, whatever deduction they have to make, they will deduct from that salary, and ultimately they are paying. So payroll, let us say payroll department has paid for employee 1 rupees 10,000. All right. Now cost accounting department will deduct PF of 1,000. The employee must have taken loan of rupees, let us say 5,000 loan is deducted. So net amount 4,000 is paid by the cost accounting department. Yeah. And this PF will be deposited with the government. All right. So this is how it happens. So payroll department generates the salary. It computes the salary. Cost accounting department will make all the deductions and pay the net salary to the employee. All right. So I hope you must have now understood. Let's move further. So normal idle time, see, whatever is the normal idle time, it's production. Always remember, whether it's normal loss of material or normal idle time, whenever it's a normal loss, it's always part of production cost. And any abnormal loss or abnormal time, idle time will never be a part of production cost. It's always a part of overheads or costing profit or loss account. All right. So any normal idle time will always be part of the production cost. It will be absorbed by the good units, good hours. All right. And abnormal idle time will never be included in the production cost. It will go to costing profit or loss account. Clear? So the time lost between factory gate and place of work is normal time. So I'm entering here and this is the factory. So this time will be lost every day because this is the distance between the entry gate and my department. So this is my department and this is my entry gate. So every day 5 minutes I have to take from the entry gate to this department where I work. So this is my department and this is the main gate. This is the main gate. So every day I have to take 5 minutes time to reach to my department. So it's a normal idle time. Interval between one job to another. So I have finished this job one. Now I have to go to job two and this will take 5 minutes to go. So this will happen every time. All right. I just cannot in the next second, I cannot start job two. All right. So I need some time to start job two. So again, it's a normal time. It will happen every time. It will happen every day. All right. So that is normal. The setting up time of the machine. So let us say in the morning, I have come at 9 a.m. and then I've started the machine and machine takes half an hour to start. Again, it's a normal time to start up the machine, to set up the machine. So this half an hour will happen every day because the machine takes time, half an hour to warm up. All right. Normal rest time, lunch time, tea time, recreation time is a normal time. All right. So it's always treated as part of cost of production, always, whether normal time, or idle time or normal loss of material, whatever it is. So it will be part of the direct cost. Clear? It's part of the direct cost, the cost of production. Indirect workers, it will go to the overheads, factory overheads. All right. Moving further. So these are the abnormal idle time. Abnormal idle time will never be part of production cost, the direct production cost. All right. So, okay. Good, Rajiv Kumar. I'm glad that you have understood. Yes. So just after, I think, abnormal idle time, we'll move to the question. Abnormal idle time may arise due to abnormal factors, lack of coordination or power failure, breakdown of machine, non-availability of raw material. You don't have raw material and now the machine is idle, you are idle because there are no raw material. It should not happen and it should not be a normal feature. All right. Fire, flood, or just power breakout, poor supervision. So these are the abnormal idle time. Now there are two types, controllable and uncontrollable. See, earthquakes, floods, strikes, lockouts, these are uncontrollable. If I am the department head, I cannot control flood or earthquake. So let us say a flood has come or strikes are there. So machines are idle, we are idle. So during COVID was abnormal idle time. It will not happen every time. And do we have control on it? We didn't have any control on it. We were idle. So all my salary was abnormal idle time, right? So basically uncontrollable, we can't do anything. But controllable is non-availability of raw material. How come raw material was not there? It should have been there. Why there is a power failure all of a sudden? I mean, to some extent it is controllable. There should be regular servicing, all right? And why there was some problem with the machine? Let us say oiling machine was not done proper oiling, when it was the job of the foreman to do proper oiling of the machine. Because of that, machine actually just stopped working. So this is controllable abnormal idle time. It should not have happened. All right. It's just because of carelessness or negligence of any worker or the employee that this abnormal idle time has happened. So controllable or abnormal idle time should not happen again. Uncontrollable, so nobody has control. All right. So we should always control the controllable abnormal idle time. So students, the basically is normal idle time you cannot control. Uncontrollable abnormal idle time also you cannot control, but you can control controllable abnormal idle time. Clear? So normal idle time you cannot control. It will happen. You cannot control. All right, and uncontrollable, the floods or the lockouts, uncontrollable, abnormal idle time also you cannot control. But you can control controllable abnormal time. All right, this you can control. This can reduce the cost. All right, so what can be controllable abnormal idle time? Like, management should be more efficient. There should be no, raw material availability. It should be there. All right, so abnormal idle time is not included in the cost of production. It is shown in costing profit or loss account. And again, controllable and uncontrollable, so there are different factors. Controllable and uncontrollable, we classify, we divide controllable and uncontrollable, and what abnormal time should be controllable, but again it is occurring. Who is responsible for that? That is important. So controllable abnormal idle time is important to monitor, and we have to keep a check on this. All right, so we'll take a break here for 7 to 10 minutes. All right, just revise all the concepts we have done so that we'll start with some practical questions. You will understand the concept better. All right, so just let us break for 5 to 10 minutes and then come back later. Thank you. Welcome back, students. So let's start from where we left. Let me see if there are any queries. Zoom. I think now it's visible. Should we zoom more, or I think now it should be okay. Anupam has asked, idle time relevant for manufacturing or service industry? Anupam, right? There is idle time in service also. Let us go. You go to a bank, all right? And don't they say कि sir system hang ho gaya hai, all right? So the employees work in is sitting idle, and you are also standing idle. System hang ho gaya, system is not working, all right? So of course it's there in every industry. Idle time is there. So service industry, IT industry, call centers, the system is not working. Let us say in call center, they have taken one call and then they are waiting so that the next call will come. So in call center, what happens? Calls come, but calls come after, sometimes calls come and the gap between one call and the another call is half an hour. So half an hour is the call center employee sitting idle. So it's everywhere. It's in every organization. It's in every industry. All right. Idle time is everywhere. You just tell me, don't we do lunch in every industry? Whether you are in service or whether you are laborer, whether you are daily wager, he is also sitting idle. You have hired a daily wager for 10 hours and you are paying that daily wager to do some repair work at your home. That daily wager, you will pay the daily wager for 10 hours because you have hired him for 10 hours for the entire day. But he will take a half an hour break for lunch also, for tea also. So idle time is everywhere, all right? It's not specific to any industry, right? So I hope, Anupam, you have understood the concept of idle time, all right? We also took a break of 10 minutes, na? Idle time, all right? So idle time happens everywhere. All right, let's start with the question, for the first illustration to make you understand the concept better. So here, these are the details. Just take note of these questions. Yes, leaves are basically they are paid to the workers. The holiday leaves and all the leaves, they are not exactly the idle time, but they are the employee cost. They are part of employee cost. Idle time is when you are at work, but you are not working, but you are paid for it. All right. Leaves and holidays, they are not idle time, but they are the part of employee cost, the total labor cost. All right. Let's just take a note of this illustration. So we have the basic pay, then DNS allowance, then bonus, other allowances, employer contribution to Provident Fund. And X works for 2400 hours per annum, out of which 400 hours are non-productive and is treated as normal idle time. You are required to calculate effectively hourly rate. So we have to calculate hourly rate. All right. How we calculate hourly rate? Effective hourly cost. That means the cost to the employer divided by effective hours. All right, so it will give you cost per hour. You have to calculate hourly cost. So effective hourly cost. So effective hours, clear? So effective hours means total hours were 2400. Employee will be paid for 2400 hours. So the cost to the organization will be for 2400 hours, but 400 hours will be lost because they are normal idle time. So effective hours are 2000. Effective hours are 2000. Effective hours. All right. Effective hours are those hours for which you have actually worked. Clear? So the effective hours will bear the total cost. The effective hours will bear the total cost. So this 400, the cost of this 400 will also be borne by 2000 hours. All right. So the production cost, the production will bear the cost of normal idle time also. So the total cost divided by total effective hours. The productive hours, effective hours can be productive hours. So then we divide it, we get the total cost. So first you have to find out, so there are two things you have to calculate. First is total cost and second is effective hours. We have calculated the effective hours. 2400 were the total hours minus idle time. So 2000 are effective hours. Now we have to calculate total cost. So once we calculate total cost, we will divide by effective hours and we'll get the hour cost per hour. All right. So now let's just calculate. Please start with the basic pay first. All right. Okay. So basic pay 10,000 per month. So it will be 10,000 into 12. All right. Then DNS allowance 2,000 into 12. So 1,20,000 and 24,000. Please solve along with me. So total basic pay plus DNS allowance. Then you have bonus also. So add the bonus also to 20% of salary and DA. So this is 144,000. Then do 20% of 144,000. Add the bonus. Then 2,500 per month allowances also. So 2,500 into 12 allowances also. Then employer's contribution to PF, 10% of salary and DA. So this 10% PF contribution you also add. Okay. So this is PF contribution you also add. So this will be the total cost. So total cost, see, we want to have the cost divided by hours. Hours we have 2000. We have calculated effective hours 2000. Now we have to calculate the cost, the total cost, so that we calculate cost per hour. Cost per hour, labor cost per hour or employee cost per hour. All right. So this will be the cost per hour. So calculate the cost, total basic pay. Then we have DNS allowance, then bonus 20% of 1,44,000. 20%, 28,800 is bonus. Then you add allowance also. So it will be 30,000 is allowance. And then 10% PF contribution, 14,400 PF contribution. So this should be the total cost. Can anybody give me the total cost? Can anybody give me the total cost? Yes, idle times, Syed Yasir, it's not ideal time. Ideal time and idle time is totally different. Idle time is IDLE, free time. And the word you have written, ideal time, is the perfect time. So it's not a perfect time, it's a free time, all right? Yes, it is normal loss. Normal idle time is normal loss. Abnormal idle time is abnormal loss, all right? 2,17,200. All right, 2,17,200. We have got the cost. So we have added everything. Basic pay 10,000 into 12. DNS 2,000 into 12. Bonus 20% of basic plus DA. 20% that comes to. So bonus comes to 28,800. Other allowances 30,000. Employer's contribution. This is PF. 10% of salary and DA, so 10% of that. So this we have added total cost to the employee. See, how much we are paying to the employee. We are paying basic pay, we are paying DA, we are paying bonus, we are paying allowances. Out of these 5, we are paying 4 to the employee, but the cost to the employer is this also. Clear? So whatever we are paying to employee and whatever is the employer cost, they are totally different. Clear? So we are paying only basic DA, bonus and allowances to the employee. But cost to the employer is much more. Cost to the employer also includes employer contribution to PF. So employer is also contributing to the provident fund of an employee. That is also cost to the cost for the company, even if it's not given to the employee now, but it will given to the employee later. All right. So whatever we are paying to employee as salary and whatever is the cost of that employee to the employer, so they are totally different. All right. So the cost is 2,17,200. Hours we have calculated. It's always effective hours. All right. It's always effective hours. So just divide 2,17,200 divided by 2,000. Calculate the cost per hour. Any answers? Any answers? Cost per hour? Okay, 108.6. 108.6. I think 2-3 answers we have got. That is labor cost per hour, employee cost per hour. It's not cost per hour. Labor or employee cost per hour. All right. So it's labor or employee cost per hour, not total cost per hour. All right. So 108.6 is the cost per hour for that employee to the employer. All right. So we have, I think, the solution also. So we can see the solution also. Just have a look at the solution. Clear? So this is the per month and this is the annual basic, dearness, bonus, contribution and allowances. So whatever we are getting to the employee. So this total is the cost to the employer. But what we are paying to employee? This, and this. This we are not paying to employee. So this we are paying and this is the cost. Clear? So this is the difference between payment and the cost. So this total is the cost to the employer. All right. And this is what the employee gets as salary. This is employee salary, what employee receives. All right. What employee receives. So this is what employee receives, but it is total cost to the employer. It includes PF also. Yeah. So this is the labor cost per hour 108.6. So total 24 hours, 100 hours, and then minus the normal idle time. Clear? So I hope you have understood this question. Very good. So most of you have calculated 108.6 perfect. So I believe that you must have understood this. Let's move on to the, okay, we have another illustration. Please take a note of this illustration. What you have to calculate? You have to calculate, allocate the wages. See, allocate. Allocate. Whenever the word allocate is used, that means it's direct labor cost. All right. Direct labor cost, we always allocate. Indirect labor cost, we always apportion. We always divide. We always share between departments or products. But direct labor cost, we always allocate. We exactly know. Allocate means we exactly know how much is for product A, how much is for product B, how much is for product C, or how much is for job X, job Y, job Z. We know exactly how much time they have spent. That is why it is direct cost. When we don't know exactly how much time we have spent, that is indirect. I'm repeating. Direct labor cost means we know exactly how much time a worker has spent on that particular job. Like in this question, we know this worker has worked 15 hours on job X. So it must be on the basis of time booking department, job card. And this employee has worked for 12 hours on job Y and 13 hours for job Z. So whatever we are paying to this employee is direct labor. But indirect is I don't know exactly how much time I have spent on X, Y, or Z. That is, and if I'm getting any salary, my salary is indirect because there is no way to measure how much time I have supervised X or Y or Z. That is indirect. Clear? So if we are allocating, that means it's direct. We have actually worked on the job or on the product. All right. So I hope you have taken the note of this question. So there are 6 days in a week and 8 hours each day. Okay, the worker is paid at the rate of 100 per day. So the wages are per day. We need to have information per day, not per hour. It's per day. Plus DA 120% of basic. So he's allowed to take 30 minutes off during his hours shift for meal break and a 10-minute recess for recess. Okay. So 40 minutes normal idle time, 30 minutes for lunch and 10 minutes for, let us say, for another break. So 40 minutes break every day. That means it's normal idle time. It will happen every day. All right. So during a week, his card showed. So we have to calculate. Basically, the information is for 1 week of 6 days of 8 hours per day. Clear? So let me just erase it off first. So students, whenever we have to allocate the wages, we should always have the rate per hour. All right. So the cost per hour. So again, what we require here, 100. First of all, you should have the rate per hour. So the rate is 100 per day plus basic DA 120. So 100 per day plus 120% of basic is the DA. Clear? So then how much will be the basic and the DA? Please calculate. How much is the basic and the DA? It's 120%. Now he's allowed to take 30 minutes break during his office hours for meal break and 10 minutes for 40 minutes every day. So just calculate the effective time. If anybody can calculate the effective time. 6 days in a week. All right. So we have to calculate for 6 days and the rate is given per day. Okay. So 100 is your basic. Then 120% of basic. So it's DA. That means per day is 220. Per day 220. It's per day. All right. Per day it's 220 into 6. So 1320 is per week. All right. So 220 is per day and we have 6 days in a week. So it's 1320 per week. That we have to pay. Now, how much is the total time? 6 days in a week of 8 hours each. Clear? So let's just have some calculation. So 6 into 8, 48 hours total time. Clear? 6 days and 8 hours. So 48, 6 days. We have to calculate for 1 week and 8 hours per day. So 48 hours. Out of 48 hours, how much is the idle time? Minus normal idle time. Normal idle time. 40 minutes every day. So 40 into 6. 240 minutes divided by 60. That means 4 hours of normal idle time every day. 4 hours of normal idle time every day. How I've calculated? 40 minutes each day. So 6 days come to 240 minutes divided by 60 minutes to calculate for 1 hour. So basically it comes to 4 hours. 4 hours of idle time will happen in 1 week. 4 hours of idle time will happen in 48 hours week. So the laborer, the worker is paid for 48 hours. But the effective hours are 44 hours. The effective hours are 44 hours. All right. So, and 1320 we are paying for 1 week. So how much to be calculated per hour? So how much is the rate? See, job is on per hour. So we have to calculate the rate per hour. Clear? We have calculated the cost. Now we have calculated effective hours. We have calculated effective hours. Effective hours are 44 hours. Clear? So how much will be the rate per hour? Normal rate per hour. 1320 per week divided by 44 effective hours. Let's just calculate 1320 divided by 44. 30 per hour is the labor rate per hour, labor cost per hour, 30 per, right? But how much time it is taken? 15 plus 12 plus 13 comes to 40 hours. Actual productive hours are 40. 40 hours has actually worked. That means the balance are 4 hours, which is abnormal idle time. See, abnormal idle time will not be taken into consideration to calculate the rate per hour. We have calculated at this stage. We have not taken care of abnormal idle time. All right. So rate per hour or cost per hour will always be calculated as per normal idle time. We will not deduct abnormal idle time. So our effective normal hours every day should be for every week should be 44 hours. Every week 44 hours should be productive. but this week it happened to be 40 hours. So 4 additional loss hours are the abnormal idle time. It will not be part of the cost, production cost. It will not be part to calculate cost per hour. Clear? It will not be included, but it will just be, the cost will be taken to costing profit or loss account. Clear? So total hours are 48 hours, normal idle time are 4 hours, so effective hours are 44 hours, and the cost is 1320 per week. So cost per week and hours per week. So total effective hour cost per hour is 30 per hour. All right. So students, have you understood this? Yes, 30 per hour is the effective cost per hour. Now it's the time to allocate. So 30 per hour. Just we have to allocate the cost now. We have to calculate the wages for this worker for the week. How many he has actually worked, and we have to allocate. So 15 into 30, 12 into 30, and 13 into 30. So just multiply with the cost per hour. We have calculated the cost per hour, and this cost will be used to calculate the direct labor cost. All right. And yes, the abnormal idle time 40. The abnormal idle time, the 4 hours also is to be multiplied by 30. So 30 into 4. Abnormal idle time cost will go to profit or loss account. Costing profit or loss account. All right. So this is how it is done. We have to allocate. First of all, we have to calculate the total cost per week. Then we should know the hours per week, effective hours per week. We only take normal idle time. And then we calculate the cost per hour. That cost per hour we have to use to calculate the direct labor cost of that particular worker. So 30 will be applied for every worker because that is the normal cost per hour for this basically organization. Clear? I think we have the solution also. Yes, so you can have a better look of the presentation. So effective hours 44 minus the idle time. Total wages 1320 for the week. So 30 is the per hour rate. And the abnormal time is 4 hours. And 4 hours also abnormal time we multiply by 30. So 120 will go to profit or loss account. This is abnormal cost. Abnormal cost will go to profit or loss account. Clear? So this is how it is done. Yes, the time wasted while waiting for a job is normal idle time. How is it abnormal idle time? The time not booked was wasted while waiting for a job. So this is, they have taken as the, in the question they have taken as the abnormal idle time, which is not booked. Clear? So this is the presentation of the working note. And okay, this is the allocation like we have done. So all the 3 jobs. So this is a part of the total production cost. So this is part of production cost, the labor cost. And this is the part of abnormal cost. Will go to profit or loss account. All right. So the total wages are 1320 apportioned accordingly. So actually the organization is bearing the cost of 1320, but the productive cost is only 1200. 120 is the unproductive cost, the total abnormal cost. All right. So I hope you must have understood this. Hope you have taken the note of this solution also, the basically how we present it. All right, let's move to overtime. So overtime means the work done beyond the normal working hours is overtime. So let us say the time is till 6 p.m. and you're working till 8 p.m. So 2 hours is the overtime work you're doing. Overtime payment is the amount of wages paid for working beyond the normal working hours. Overtime payment consists of 2 elements, normal wages and premium for overtime work. So wages paid for overtime at normal rate plus extra payment for overtime work. That is the overtime premium. The rate for overtime is always higher than the normal time. So the time from 9 to 6 p.m. So let us say the time from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. is 100 per hour. All right. Now from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. it will be 300 per hour. All right. So the overtime is always higher than the normal time rate. The extra amount so paid over the normal rate is called overtime premium. Now, it is very, very important. This is very important, this line. See, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., the normal rate is 100 per hour. This is the normal rate. All right. From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., you are paid as 300 per hour. In this 300 per hour, how much is the overtime premium? 300 is not overtime. I'm repeating. Rupees 300 per hour is not overtime. Total 300 is not overtime. How much is the overtime premium in this? Can anybody tell me? How much is the overtime premium in this? Glad, Anupam, you are understanding. So I'm really happy. Just focus more. Time wasted while waiting for a job. Darshan, it all depends upon the company to company, and the question is question. Yes, whenever you are waiting time from one job to another job is considered as normal, but you never know why you are waiting for that particular job. Is that waiting normal, or because of the abnormal reason you have to wait for another job? All right. So in this question, if you're waiting for a job, it is considered as abnormal. All right. It depends why you are waiting for that job, why you are waiting for the next job. Maybe that whatever time you are waiting for the next job, again, if you have to wait for 5 minutes, you are waiting for 20 minutes. So again, you are waiting for the next job, but how much time you are waiting again? It can be normal or abnormal. So it depends upon case to case, company to company, job to job, and circumstance to circumstance. All right. So just do as per given in the question. All right. Okay. Yes, 200, exactly. 200, no, not 100. So, Bashri, not 100, it's 200. Out of 300, 100 is the normal wage rate. 200 is overtime. So, this you need to understand. The overtime premium is 200. The rate of from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. is 300 per hour. But out of 300 per hour, rupees 100 is the normal time. And 200 is the overtime period. You are paid for, let us say there is no overtime and you are working from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. So which rate will be applicable? 100 only. But you are paid for 300 per hour from 6 to 8. That means that you are paid 200 extra. 100, so you are actually working for the day also, you are paying 100. 100 you will always get. But what extra you are getting for those 2 hours? Extra you are getting 200. 100 you will normally also get whenever you are working for any time, you will get 100. All right. So 100 you will get for any time you are working. But if you are working after 6 p.m., you are getting 200 extra for every hour. So that 200 is the overtime premium, not 300. That you need to understand. Students make mistakes on this topic, this aspect always in the question. Clear? So overtime is basically overtime payment has two aspects, the normal rate and the premium rate. So 100 is the normal rate, but overtime is 200. All right. So I hope you have understood this. Please take note of this this aspect. All right. So these points you should note down or highlight whenever anybody is teaching. So you should note down these points. These are very good for revision. Before your exams. Clear? Okay. So these are the causes for overtime. Again, the customer may agree to. So why overtime? Why there is a need to work overtime? Your time is from 9 to 6. You should work from 9 to 6. Why there is a need to work overtime? All right. So there are reasons why actually we have to work overtime. So if the customer agrees that, okay, the customer has given an order and the customer says, I want the order on urgent basis. So the company has to work overtime. Then whatever overtime I'm paying to my workers, I will be charging to that customer only, because of that customer we have to work overtime. So the cost of overtime will be charged to the order of that customer only. Clear? Because he's saying he wants on urgent basis. So he has to bear high cost for that order, right? But if overtime is called for any shortfall in production, all right, we have some overtime or we have some urgent orders, and then we have to work, generally we have to work for overtime, and then it will be charged as overhead to that particular department. So it will be charged as overhead of that particular department. There are some charges of department also. So overtime will be added to the cost of that particular department only. Yeah. When overtime is basically because there was shortfall in production, fault of the management. It is abnormal reason now. It could be controllable, but it's an controllable abnormal cost. So it will be whosoever department is at fault, it will be charged to that department. All right. If overtime is resorted to excess of the normal output because of expanding market or rising prices, or let us say normal conditions, then it will go to costing profit or loss account. So whenever it's uncontrollable abnormal time, then it will go to costing profit or loss account. Otherwise, it will go to that particular department. So there are three things: to the customer order. If because of customer we have to work overtime, so overtime cost will be charged to that customer only. If it is due to the shortfall or unexpected development or urgent order, general urgent order we have to work, then it will be charged to that particular department. If any department is at fault, it will be again charged to that department. And if it is due to some abnormal reason which is uncontrollable, it will charge to costing profit or loss account. All right. So that is how the treatment of overtime cost goes to. Okay. So we have one illustration. Just take note of this illustration. Okay, we have this overtime. Okay. So there are workers A and B earnings. We have to calculate the earnings also, and we have to calculate the cost also. So we have to calculate two variants here: earnings to worker and cost to the employer. I told you there's a difference between the two: earnings to the worker and cost to the employer. Clear? So basic wages, DNS allowance, contribution to provident fund, it is on basic wages. You have to note it down. Employee state insurance and overtime hours. With the overtime, okay, these are the overtime hours. So 10, they are the overtime hours. All right. So overtime hours only this, okay, employee A is worked overtime. Only employee A has worked on overtime. Normal working hours are 200. Overtime is paid at double the total normal wages and DNS allowance. So normal wages and DNS allowance, whatever is the rate, for overtime, we have to pay double the rate of wages and DNS allowance. So if wages and DNS allowance are 200, for overtime, they will be paid as 400. Clear? For only the overtime hours. Employer contribution to state insurance and provident fund are equal rates. Clear? So contribution to provident fund, employer and employee both are contributing. Employer and employee both are contributing. Clear? Both of them. Provident fund also and ESI also, and at the equal rate. So employer is also contributing 8% and employee is also contributing 8%. Employer is also contributing 2%, employee is also contributing 2%. So same rates are, they both are contributing. So now once you calculate the rate per hour or the cost per hour, then we will allocate it to the different workers. Clear? So first of all, you have to calculate the earnings. Earnings has nothing to do with the allocation. Second step, you should calculate cost per labor hour. Cost per labor hour you have to calculate. And the third step is cost will be allocated. So this cost will be allocated to jobs. All right, to two different jobs. So this is the step. These three things we have to calculate. First is earnings, then is labor cost per hour. How we calculate labor cost per hour? Cost divided by effective hours. All right. So cost we have, hours we will calculate, effective hours, and then we will allocate it. Clear? So let's first calculate the earnings which will be given to A and B, the earnings given to A and B. Now let me just clear one thing to you. So whenever we are calculating earnings, and this is employer cost, labor cost or employee cost, both the things are slightly different. Earnings means basic. So basic and basic both will be basic. Basic pay will be added to both. DA will be added to both. Clear? Bonus will be added to both. Earnings means whatever we are paying to the employer. Earnings which we have to pay. And this is cost to the employer. Employee cost to the employer. So both we are paying now. Less employee contribution to PF or ESI we will deduct, and net amount we will pay. Students, this is very, very important, which I'm explaining you. Whenever we have to calculate the earnings which we have to pay to employee, basic, DA, bonus, whatever we are paying, less the deductions, employee contribution, whatever employee is contributing to his own PF account or ESI account, we will deduct, and net amount we will pay to the employee. All right. So this is the net earnings which will be paid. But when we calculate employee cost to the employer, there are no deductions here. Basic, DA, bonus plus employer contribution. This is important. Employer contribution to PF ESI will also be added. And this is the total employee cost for the organization. Total CTC. Total cost to the company. All right. So whenever we are paying, employee contribution is deducted, but whenever you're calculating cost to the employer contribution is added. Clear? So that means employer is also contributing to it. Here employee is having a deduction from his own salary, what he will be getting. Clear? So this is the difference between how we calculate earnings and how we calculate employee cost to the employer, or CTC, cost to the company, CTC. This is how we calculate CTC. So employer contribution is added, but here employee contribution is deducted to calculate the net pay which we have to pay to the employee. I hope this is understood. PF ESI also calculated on overtime premium, ma'am? No, PF and ESI, they are never calculated on overtime premium. They are always calculated on basic or DA or just basic. Clear? So this, I think whatever I've explained you, this is important. Now let us move back to this question. So first of all, calculate the earnings. All right. Now I'm erasing this off. Now you calculate the earnings and tell me how we calculate the earnings. Okay. So when we calculate the earnings, we have to take basic, we have to take DA, then overtime hours. Now, first let us settle overtime. Overtime hours are 10 hours only for A. So overtime will happen only in case of A. How we are paying overtime? Overtime is paid at double the total of normal wages and GNS allowance, double the total of, all right? And the normal hours are 200. Normal hours are 200. So how much is the total? 10,000 and 50% is DA. So for A and for B, 10,000, then 50%, 5,000. So basic and DA comes to 15,000. Basic and DA comes to 15,000. Rate per hour is 200. Rate per hour of basic and wages is 200. So it comes to 75 per hour. For overtime, you have to pay double the total of normal wages. So 75 per hour means overtime will be 150 per hour. Overtime will be 150 per hour. It's double the rate of basic and DA. This is how you calculate. So we have taken basic and DA. I'm calculating overtime. Only A has worked overtime. Only A. A. So basic of A is 10,000 and DA is 5,000. So total wage of A is 15,000. 200 are normal working hours. So rate per hour, normal rate per hour for A is 75 per hour for overtime. And it has to be paid at double the rate, so into 2. 150 per hour overtime rate for A. And he has worked for 10 hours. So overtime comes to 1500 for A. Overtime has come to 1500 for A. So we are calculating the earnings for A and B first. Earnings, clear? So earnings come to, so earnings 1500 again for A. These are the total earnings 16,500 minus PF and ESI. Employee contribution, PF and ESI. I'm just doing for A. Similarly, you have to do for B, but in B there is no overtime, only the basic and DA. Clear? So for B it's 16,000, then 8,000, and it comes to 24,000. There is no overtime, so it's 24,000. All right. Now deduct PF and ESI. 8% of basic wages, 800. 8% of basic. All right, ESI also basic, 2% of basic, so 200. That comes the earnings. When we calculate the earnings, we have to take total wages minus PF and ESI. Contribution of employee. Employee contribution to PF and ESI will be termed as a deduction. Yes. When it suddenly increases in demand and company wants to increase production, it will go to the production department. All right. It's not an abnormal, uncontrollable, you cannot say, I mean, just to meet the extra demand, it can be, the overtime can go to production department, right? Costing profit or loss account, we just transfer when there are total, you know, it's like strikes or lockout, something like that, then we should transfer it to profit or loss account. But otherwise, production is increasing. So we can transfer it to production department. All right, Anupa? Yes, can anybody tell me the earnings of Mr. A, the net earnings, and you can calculate for B also. 8% on basic and 2% on basic. Come on, give me the earnings of A and B. Give me the earnings of A and B. Any answers for A and B? Anybody calculating? 16,500 minus, so it should be 15,500 we should pay to A. Any other answer? Or shall we proceed? Yes, 15,500. Each is contributed by employer and employee. Yes, 8% contribution by employee and employer each. But when we are calculating earnings, we have to take employee contribution. Whenever we calculate cost to the employer, we take employer contribution. I'm repeating. Whenever we calculate, I'm taking you back to this note. Whenever we calculate earnings, we take employee contribution. Whenever we calculate cost, we take employer contribution. This is very, very important to note. Clear? So here we are calculating earnings. So in earnings, we have taken employee contribution as deduction. And when we calculate cost, we add employer contribution. All right. Okay, for B, I've got the answer 22,400. So that I've got an answer. Okay, good. So many students have calculated. Let me move on to the solution proper. All right. So this is the answer we have calculated. So basic wages, then allowance, then working note that we have actually calculated. So we have already calculated for you. So this is the net wages earned. This is earnings. See, whenever we are taking earnings, this is the employee contribution. And this is always a deduction. Two things you have to note. Whenever we are calculating earnings, we have to deduct employee contribution. And we pay the net amount to it, to the employer. We actually pay the net amount. And this calculation basically, and this net amount is paid by cost accounting department. Clear? So these are the earnings. Now let us move on. We have to calculate the cost. So now it's the time to calculate the cost to the company. And then when we calculate the cost to the company, that we calculate the cost to the company per hour. Clear? Then once we calculate per hour, then we will allocate it to the to different workers. And I'm telling you again, whenever we calculate the cost per hour, we calculate on normal basis. Clear? No abnormal thing we calculate. So what will happen every time? Only that we take. Clear? So this is the calculation for now. This is the cost. Here we are calculating the cost to the company. So cost to the company means here we take employer contribution and we add it. So whatever employer is contributing to the employee's PF or ESI account is a cost to the employer. The employee is not getting anything in hand now, but it will get later. All right. So when we calculate cost, we always take employer contribution and that also we add it. Clear? So wages, the basic NDA, employer and contribution at the same rate. So again, the amount is same. So this is gross wages earned. And this is the normal working hour. So this is wages rate per hour. Clear? So this is wages rate per hour. This we have calculated, and we have the total earnings for A and B also. These are total earnings for A and B also. And now it is for worker A and B. We have got the cost for worker A and B. So just allocate the cost to job X, Y, and Z in the ratio of 40%, 30%, and 30%. And for Y and for B, 50 and 20 and 30. So we'll just allocate the cost. So cost we have to allocate is 16,000 and 25,600. We allocate the cost to the job. We don't allocate the earnings to the job. All right. The earnings are 15,500 and 22,400. We don't allocate the earnings to the job. I'm repeating. We allocate the cost to the job. See, earnings of A are 15,500, but cost to the organization is 16,000. That's the difference. The earnings to worker B is 22,400, but for B, the cost of the employer is 25,600. That's the difference. See, A and B, earnings and cost. So earnings was 15,500, but the cost is 16,000. For B, the earnings was 22,400, but the cost is 25,600. We allocate the cost to the job, not the earnings. That's the difference. So we have to allocate 16,000 and 25,600 to all the three jobs, X and Y. See, we are allocating the cost, not the earnings. Clear? So we are allocating the cost. So cost of worker A was 16,000. We are allocating to different jobs. Overtime is not, we are not taking here. Overtime is a separate cost for only Y job. Overtime is done only on Y. See, it's mentioned here. Overtime is done only on job Y. Worker A is doing overtime, but only on job Y. Clear? So overtime we are not including as part of employee cost, but yes, it will go to that particular job. So it will be additionally we will be added to the job Y. All right. So this is the cost of job X, job Y, and job Z. So we always allocate the cost to the jobs, not the earnings. Clear? So I hope you must have understood this. Take a note of this question. Darshan, I've explained it earlier also, and now I'm again explaining. Overtime wages, where it should go, it depends. All right. If we have to work overtime because let us say COVID happened and nothing, the production stopped, and then we have to work overtime because it was uncontrollable cost. Then it has to go to costing profit or loss account. But in normal scenario, every overtime will not go to costing or profit or loss account. Clear? So it will generally go to the factory overhead of a particular department, not to costing profit or loss account. So every overtime will not go to costing profit or loss account. See, we have another illustration. It will be more clear that which overtime will go where. All right. So I think we can manage to do one more question on that. Okay. I hope Diksha you have understood. Yes. So have you taken the note of this this final presentation of solution? All right. So let's move on. All right. Okay. So now this illustration probably will make it more clear for you, Darshan, that how overtime is treated in the costing accounts. All right. So just take a note of this question, please. So the basic wage rate is 100 per hour and the overtime rate are as follows. So basic wage rate is 100 before and after normal working hours. Before, let us say the normal working hours are 9 to 6 p.m. So before 9 a.m. or after 6 p.m. the rate will be 175% of the basic wage rate. So basic wage rate is 100 and 175% will be 175 rupees per hour. If anybody is coming on Sundays and holidays, it will be 225% of basic. So it will be 225 rupees. So we have three rates. Number one, the basic wage rate, all right, and the overtime rate. Now this you have to understand. Basic wage rate, number one case is 100. Clear? Beyond and after working hours, second, when it is 100. Okay, let me just see. The first is when the rate is 100. So it's only basic, no overtime. Second is when the rate is 175. Out of one, so before and after normal working hours, the rate is 175. Now students, rupees 175 total is not overtime. Out of 175, 100 is basic and 75 is overtime. You need to understand this. So if you are working for 9 hours, you will be paid. So hours 9, you are paid for 100. If you are working for 10 hours, for 9 hours, you will be paid at 100. For 1 hour, you will be paid 75 extra. Clear? So if the rate is 175, you need to understand total 175 is not overtime. Out of 175, 100 is the basic wage. Over and above 100, that is 75 is overtime premium you are getting, not 175. I hope this should be clear to you. All right. And similarly, the third case, when you are paying 225, out of the total 225 is not overtime. Out of 225, 100 is basic and extra 125. Additional to 100, extra over and above 100 is overtime. Clear? So this is how it goes. This you need to understand. Overtime is 75 and 125, not 175 and 225. So first you always have to understand the question. Then only you can approach the solution. How you have understood the question, how you have approached the question is important. Clear? So now these are the total hours they have given to you. So normal time, 1 lakh hours. So let us calculate the total wages of the entire organization. Clear? 1 lakh hours are normal time, the normal hours, the rate is 100. For overtime before and working hours, it's 20,000. So it will be total 175 including overtime. For extra 5,000, the rate is 225. Clear? So just calculate the amount and tell me the total wages. Total wages. Just tell me the amount. So calculate the total wages for normal time. Calculate the total wages including overtime for before and after working hours, and calculate the wages when we work for overtime. So just give me the See, whether it's worker or department, it has to, if it depends upon the worker also, it will be charged to department only. Clear? The worker is being paid, of course, overtime it will be given to workers only. But that cost will be borne by which department? If that worker is for department 1 and another worker is for department 2, the overtime cost, that means that overtime given to that worker will be charged to that particular department. So whether it's for department, it's for the workers, it will be paid to the workers only. Yeah, but it's employee cost. If it's overtime cost, it has to be an employee cost. But that overtime employee cost will be borne by which department? That is the question. Is it clear? Overtime has to be the worker cost only. But which department will bear that worker cost? That exactly we have to see. Okay. Okay, so 146.25. Okay, this is the total. 1 crore 46. Okay. I'll take this answer. 1462. 5,000. 1462 5,000. So this is the total wages for the entire hours worked at different hours. All right, we have calculated this. Let's go to another part of the question. So the normal hours worked are, now this is for one particular job. All right. So we have to calculate the rate and then we allocate to the job. We always do this. So whenever we are talking about cost, that means first we have to calculate the cost per hour and then only we allocate to the job. All right. It's always this process we follow. So now we have for this normal time also. So for this job, normal hours are worked 1,000. Overtime before and after is this. Okay, first just calculate the rate. So this is the total wages and these are the total hours. Can we have one average rate? Can we have an average rate? Total wages divided by total hours. Total wages divided by total hours. Can we have the average rate? Total hours divided by total. So 1462 5,000 divided by 1,25,000 hours. Can we have the average rate, please? Okay. 117 is average rate per hour. Average. If we have to calculate the average, but separate hours also I know. All right. So for normal time, it's 100 per hour. For overtime before and after, it's 175 per hour. For Sundays and holidays, it's 225 per hour. And the average rate is 117 per hour. Clear? So we have 4 rates. Now moving to the question. You have to calculate the labor cost chargeable to job Z and overhead in each of the following instances. Okay, now this is a question where we have to see where the overtime is charged. Clear? So where overtime is worked regularly throughout the year as a policy due to workers' shortage. So students, when the overtime is worked regularly, that means every year overtime is done. That means overtime is a regular feature. So it's a normal overtime. Every time it will happen. That means every Sundays and holidays it's working. Or the Sundays and holidays, if we talk about this, every Sunday and every holiday 5,000 hours, every time 20,000 hours are before or after working hours. When the overtime is a regular feature, then it's no overtime actually. That means it's your normal working hours. There is no overtime as such, but yes, we have kept the higher rates for these holidays and before and after working hours, but it's a normal scenario. It will happen every year or every time it will happen. It's a regular feature throughout the year, not because of any reason, but because of your worker shortage. It's a general scenario. In this case, we use 1,117 as an average rate. That means the bifurcation of difference between the rates is diluted. We have to take one average rate. Clear? So we have to calculate the rate for this job. So in the first case, when it's a normal rate and we have to calculate the cost of a job. So in the first case, it's 1125 into 117. This will give you cost because we have to calculate the cost of this job. So we have to take the total. Whenever we're taking the total hours, we have to calculate as per the average rate because it's a normal scenario throughout the year. So we should take the average rate. The breakup is diluted. Clear? So we have to calculate the labor cost for job Z. And it's a normal scenario. Every time on job Z, every time 5 hours will be worked on. All right. So it's a normal wages for job Z. So 117 average rate per hour into 1125. Can you get me the value? 1125 into 117. So it's coming to 131625 is the labor cost for job Z when the overtime is worked regularly throughout the year. All right, yes, 131625. When overtime, see, it's not about normal or abnormal, it's about where it will go exactly. Clear? If it is not going to, particular job, that does not mean it's abnormal. All right. Abnormal is a total different scenario. Abnormal, it will directly go to costing profit or loss account. All right. So here, normal and abnormal bifurcation, rather than that, we should happen what is the reason why the overtime is happening. So here, if it's happening due to worker shortage, it's not an abnormal scenario, but in normal circumstances, it could be abnormal scenario. But here the worker shortage is a normal scenario. So you have to be very specific to every question. A normal scenario in one question can become the abnormal scenario in another question. Like we just did normal idle time. The worker was, sitting idle because for the next job to start. And in that question, we took it as abnormal idle time. So students, normal in one scenario, in one question can be abnormal in another question. You have to basically do on the basis of what's given in the question. So worker shortage is a normal scenario in case 1. So when it's a normal scenario, we are calculating average rate. We are not considering as an overtime. We are taking it as a production cost. So when worker shortage is a normal scenario, now in another question, worker shortage can be taken as abnormal scenario. Then we cannot charge it to production. But when this overtime is a normal scenario and worker shortage is taking here as normal scenario, then we have to take overtime also as a direct production cost. It's directly charged to the job because it's a normal scenario, normal idle, normal overtime. Now you're getting it. So it depends upon question to question. In case 1, we are charging overtime to production. We are charging overtime as a direct labor cost. You understand? We hardly charge overtime as a direct labor cost. But in case 1, we are charging overtime as a direct labor cost on the job. You understand? So that is the difference. It depends upon question to question and case to case. There is no general formula to understand anything. It depends upon company to company, case to case, question to question. So in this question, you have overtime. You have to consider overtime under 3 scenarios. Number 1 is total normal. So we are charging it as a direct production cost. We are charging it as a direct labor cost. Overtime is hardly a direct labor cost. But in this first case, we are keeping it as a direct labor cost. So I hope now you have understood, Darshan. All right. In the second scenario, overtime is worked irregularly to meet the requirements of production. So now it's irregularly to meet the requirements of production. Here, we should charge it as an overhead to that production department, not to the costing profit or loss account. Understood? So it's because there were some irregularities in the production. So it should not be charged as a direct labor cost, but as an indirect labor cost to the production department. I hope now it's getting clear for you. Okay. So when the overtime is worked irregularly to meet the requirements of production, then overtime will not be charged on as a direct labor cost, but as an indirect labor cost, and it will be charged to the production department. Here, so here we have to see for 1000 hours, it will go as rupees 100. It will go as a direct labor cost. So only normal will go to direct labor cost. Here, in 100 hours also, 100 will go to the cost, and overtime is only 75. In here, it is 25, and then it's not multiply, it's plus 100 plus 125. So this is overtime. All right. Overtime will go to the production department as an indirect labor cost. Clear? So this is how we do it. So one in the second scenario, for 1000 hours into 100, it will go to the direct labor cost. Then 100 hours into 100 and into 75. So it will go to labor cost, but it will go to the basically the overheads. So overheads are 75. Then for remaining 2500, first will be 100 and first will be 125. So 125 will go to overheads. Is it clear? Rest will be charged to the production. So the overtime cost will be charged as indirect labor cost, but will be charged to production department only. Clear? So now I hope you must have understood. Yes. So it will, in the second case, we can look here also. This is the first case where we have charged the overtime as an inflated price. So this is the total labor cost. This is the inflated price first. See, the entire will go to charge to the job, the entire 1325. Second, when it's irregularly for the production, it will charge to factory overheads, indirect cost. Clear? So the basic will be charged to the job and overtime will be charged to factory overheads. So first is the normal, it's 1000, 1125. 125. So it will be into 100 and then 100 into 75 and 25 into 125. This will be charged to overheads. Clear? So I told you in 175, 100 is normal and 75 is overtime. In 225 also, 100 is normal and 125 is overtime. So this will be charged to overheads. And the basic will be go to the job only. All right. So this is how it goes. It will be the overtime will be treated as indirect, not abnormal. All right. And the rest normal wages will be charged to production cost only. So normal will be direct cost and overtime will be indirect when this is due to irregularity in production. So it will be charged as indirect to the production department only. Okay. So these two are there. Then what is the third one? When overtime is worked at the request of the customer. So the entire overtime will go to the customer only. It will be charged to the customer. Clear? So here what will happen? The overtime will go to the customer as the entire job. All right. So here it will be the total and the overtime will also be charged to the overtime premium will be charged to the customer as a total cost. So the total order cost will be charged to the customer. So it will not go to any department, but the entire, because of that customer we are working overtime. So the entire cost will be charged to the customer. It will not go to any department. Clear? So what is the case? What is the scenario? That will depend where it will be charged to. Where it will be charged to. So if it's because of the customer, whatever is the overtime, you have to charge it to customer. You have to charge it to that customer order. So that customer is your cost object. Clear? But whenever it's due to irregularity of production, this is important. The basic rate of the entire will go to the production cost, and the overtime will go to the overheads, but to that department only. All right. And whenever it's a regular policy, then of course it will directly be charged as a production cost, total direct cost. Clear? Okay, Darshan, I'm really glad that you've understood. A premium overtime will take in overhead and basic as direct. Yes, the basic rate in the, so the total is 175. 100 will go to direct and 75 overtime will go to indirect, if you understood this way. Clear? So overtime, see, the question is of overtime premium. The question is never on of the basic wage rate in the total rate. Clear? So out of whatever is the overtime rate, the proportion of normal or basic will always go to the production cost as direct cost. But only the overtime premium will go to indirect or overheads. Is it clear? So the extra overtime, and in 225 also, 100 is always direct. Only 125 overtime are indirect or overheads in case of irregularity of production. It will be charged as overhead to that department. But the basic, the normal rate will always be charged to the production cost, the direct labor cost. So I understood this, Bhumika, and I hope you have understood now. So students, that is all for today. We'll be sharing this PPT also with you. There are a couple of more questions you can practice. I hope solutions are also there. So just practice it again. We have another session of employee cost next time, but before that session, I would advise you just revise all these concepts again, till here, and practice one or two questions more which are given in this PPT. So just revise before coming to the next session of employee cost. You will understand it better. All right. So the highlights which we have covered today are, of course, the concepts, the various departments which go for cost control, job analysis, job evaluation, job description, job specification, time and motion study. All these concepts are very, very important. And then what's the difference? What is the treatment when we calculate earnings? And what is the treatment when we calculate cost to the employer? And how we allocate, and we allocate the cost to the job. We never allocate the earnings to the job. Clear? So these concepts are very, very important to understand. And yes, the treatment of overtime. The premium, the treatment is always for overtime premium, not the basic or the normal rate in that. All right. So these things are, I hope you have noted down. And you must revise these points before your exams or before doing any question on this. All right. So till then, happy learning. Good day to all of you. We'll meet in the next session. Thank you, students. Thanks for today.